Donna, can you go ahead and do roll call for us?
Jason Olive.
Here.
Mark Marston.
Here.
Joel Ward.
Here.
Carl Roars.
Here.
Patty Serrano.
Here.
All right, thank you. We'll have a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence following that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. Okay, our next order of business is to approve the minutes of the January 11th, 2023 special board meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the January 11th, 2023 special board meeting.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. That motion carries. The next order of business is to approve and ratify payroll and accounts payable vouchers. Could I get a motion?
Yes, I move to approve and ratify payroll and accounts payable vouchers.
Could I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Thank you. Mr. Norducci, is there any correspondence this week?
President Olive, I know it's our change of guard, so President Olive, there is no correspondence at this time.
All right, thank you. So the next thing we're going to get to do is our recognition of our state champions. Ms. Ingersoll, could you kick that off for us?
Absolutely. So first, we have the Chandler High School cross-country team, coached by Mr. Matt Lincoln.
I wish it was the whole team, but it's just one individual. But this is Gibson Kibia. He joined the team a couple years ago, started off, I think he showed up in some vans at the first day and wasn't sure if he was going to stick around. We got him some new shoes, and I just found out a month or so ago that he said he wanted to quit that first week, but since we had got him some new shoes, he felt like he'd be robbing me if he hadn't come back. So he stuck around, and here we are 2 years later, and he set the school record 3 times, and he is now the D1 state champion. So Gibson Kibia.
Congratulations.
All right, thanks, guys. Congratulations.
Next, we have Hamilton Badminton, coached by Lauren Rosales.
All right, hello. This year, Hamilton captured both the team state title, and then we also had the doubles state champions and the singles runners up. So we'll start with the double state champions, the two on the end there. Saba Shakir, she's a senior, and then Nahira Sane, she's a freshman. So they made a great team this year, winning the double state championship. And then in the middle there, we have Samia Bodonker, and she was the single state champion last year, single state runner-up this year, and she's only a junior. And then we have Melanie, 3-year varsity player, just finished up her senior year. And then we have Sahasra Pachetti, 2nd year on varsity, and she is only a junior as well. So we get her back next year too. Super proud of these girls.
Coach, who's our featured tennis player?
This is Remington.
Remington. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys.
You may have noticed that we had some marching band members outside of our district office this evening. That was Basha High School Marching Band, coached by Director Miles Denny.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miles Denny. Ooh, that's loud. Sorry about that. And along with me tonight is our other band director, Mr. Sean Shive. And these wonderful students found a lot of success this year due to a lot of different variables. And one is an amazing community, a wonderful district that supports us, as well as all the hard work that they put in. So give these wonderful students another round of applause.
We're just going to have you guys move toward the back. Fantastic. Just going to give people a warning. There may be some horns blowing here. So, bear with us. Celebration. Please be.
That's awesome. And now we have the Basha football team, coached by Chris McDonald.
First off, thank you for having us out here, the board and the district. I think that's why CUSD is second to none, because of the support and coming out here and allowing these kids and recognize them and recognize the team. So wanted to say something real quick about our season. I think it was a great learning lesson. We talk about how athletics can teach a lot of life skills, and I truly believe, the season was a roller coaster at times, more good than bad, but these kids learned how to persevere, how to handle adversity in key situations, in big moments, how to rely on each other, how to be selfless. We have a lot of players in our program, especially in the varsity, that have opportunities to go on and continue their education and athletic career. And we live in a day and age when it's all about me, and social media and tension and all this other stuff. And these young men learned how to put all of that aside and play for each other. And that was the big thing. I mean, leading up to the championship game, as we were going on and we were doing things that these young men were doing things that hadn't been done in Basha history, beating Chandler, beating Hamilton in the same season. It wasn't like they were resting. Wasn't like they were resting on that. They were ready, ready for the next challenge, and they understood what the final, what the mission was and what the destination was. But at the same time, enjoying the journey. So I couldn't be more proud of a group of kids, coaches. It was just a lot of sacrifice. The support by the admin, by the district. It was awesome to bring home the trophy back to Chandler School District, and it's a memory that was made and that will never be forgotten. Thank you.
One thing I just want to add, my name's Eric Magani. I'm the proud athletic director over at Basha High School. And one thing I want to add about these young men is that not only do they grind out on the football field, but they get the job done in the classroom as well. If you look across the board, their GPAs, things like that, they're doing what they need to do in the classroom as well. So we're really proud of them. I mean, they represent us really well. I mean, they work really hard. They're model citizens on our campus. You know, you wouldn't know that they're 5 4-star athletes out on our campus because they just carry themselves so well. So that's something that I wanted to, you know, say out here in public. Like, I'm really proud of you guys for that. That's something that, you know, is really important for us, is that you're good citizens. You guys are doing the right things on our campus, and you guys are carrying yourselves really well. So I know your coaches are proud of that. Our admin team, we're super proud of that. We just look at you guys and say, man, those are some really good kids on our campus, and we're really thankful that you guys are with us. All right? Love you guys.
Before you go real quick here, I just want to thank you all, between band and football team and coaches. You made this very exciting, going to your games. It was exciting. I mean, it was not only historic, but the Bear Nation, man, they showed up at ASU. I was like looking across the, and I won't mention who we played because they don't need to worry about that, but I guarantee you their superintendent's wearing a Basha shirt right now, and I'll show you the picture because we kind of exchanged shirts. I didn't have to wear his though. But the nice part is your coach, Coach McDonald, was also State Coach of the Year. So that's an amazing accomplishment also. So Coach McDonald, you deserved every piece of that with your coaching staff. I know you will say you don't do it alone. I'm going to say it for you because I know every conversation we have, you talk about your coaching staff. And so, Coach McDonald, I know when you win an award like that, it's your staff that wins that award. So thank you all very much for the time and effort you all put into our student athletes, and you all made us very proud. And again, you're a bright spot in Chandler. Thank you so much.
You guys good? Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Great job. Congratulations.
Who's in charge of food service?
Me. I just told him. I said you've asked like 5 times and I forget to tell him.
So what sport is there? I thought he might be playing basketball or something.
No, he's going to. He can play baseball, so. Football and baseball.
All right, that's awesome. Next action item that we get to do here is a resolution. Mr. Narducci, can you lead us into that?
Thank you, President Olive, members of the board. It's an honor to present this resolution that came to us from Chandler High School. As I have known Dave Shapiro for 27 years as a colleague, as a parent when I was a principal at Santan. His two daughters attended there, and then also as a friend. And I would like to read the resolution first, and then I'll ask the board for an approval. Whereas where's Dave? I know there he is. He's already to talk at the microphone. He never talks at the microphones, and so.
I got this on silence too.
Great. And don't send me any texts up here while I'm reading. Thank you.
Okay.
Whereas Dave Shapiro started teaching and coaching in Chandler Unified School District at Willis Junior High School in 1981 before transferring to Chandler High School in 1983. Whereas Dave Shapiro coached track and field and cross country prior to being named athletic director at Chandler High School and continued to serve the track and field and cross country community after his retirement. Whereas Dave Shapiro is known for his kindness, compassion, and his unwavering drive to ensure the success of student athletes in Chandler and the state of Arizona. Whereas Dave Shapiro has had a positive impact on everyone in the Chandler Unified School District community, as witnessed by his efforts to help start the Elite Performance Academy in Chandler Unified School District, the Chandler Sports Hall of Fame for the city of Chandler, as well as turning the Chandler Rotary Track Meet into one of the biggest events in the country for the past 39 years that you have been attached to that event. Whereas after his retirement from Chandler Unified School District, Dave Shapiro went to work for the Arizona Interscholastic Association, overseeing cross-country, track and field, and soccer. Whereas Dave Shapiro is a human history book with an uncanny ability to recount and tell stories about Chandler High School's history, as well as the city of Chandler, provides a connection with the past and the present, which is so very important. Whereas Dave Shapiro always knows how to make people laugh and smile and never takes himself too seriously. Whereas Dave Shapiro is a devoted husband to Ina Sue and father of 2 wonderful daughters, Rachel and Courtney. Whereas Dave Shapiro always wants the best for everyone he encounters, his tireless work ethic and inability to say no to people who ask for help is a testament to what type of person he is. Therefore, in appreciation of this remarkable man's legacy, it is with great honor that the Chandler Unified School District name the Wolf Den Athletic Building at Chandler High in honor of Dave Shapiro, as presented by Superintendent Franklin R. Narducci on January 18th, 2023. For action item 401, resolution calling for the naming of the Wolf Den Athletic Building at Chandler High School. We recommend the Wolf Den Athletic Building at Chandler High School be named in honor of Mr. Dave Shapiro.
All right, thank you, Mr. Narducci. Could I get a motion?
Aye, so moved.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Congratulations.
Thank you. Hope you don't mind, but I'm at that age where I can start rambling on a story and forget where I'm going. So I actually wrote down a couple of things. First of all, CUSD Board, Superintendent Frank Narducci, and all the other administrators here, and my good friend Jim Culver, who's now the AD at Chandler High School. I'd like to say just a few words. When I was a little kid, like age 4 or 5, we had friends that moved from Tucson up to Tempe. And we used to come up and visit them a couple of times a year. At the time, Interstate 10 ended where the State Route 587 is, and you'd have to get off the freeway because it was a dead end, and you drove up a dirt road through the Indian Reservation. What I remember the most being 4 and 5 was an airplane in the middle of the town, and then getting to stop and get a soda at a place called the Peacock Inn, which is now, I think, near where Serrano's is. Fast forward, I don't remember seeing Chandler High School at that age, but fast forward to when I was at ASU and traveling home to Tucson, where I grew up, the President Nixon, and then followed by the others, decided to keep the national speed limit at 55 miles per hour. And if you drove from Chandler to Coolidge and didn't get stuck behind farm machinery, you could actually get up to 65 miles per hour. And I used to drive through, and I was an education major at the time. I'd quit running for ASU's track team, so I was able to get away from school. And I remember seeing this high school surrounded by barbed wire fencing. And that was Chandler High School. There's a U-totem there. There's a tire shop on the corner and stuff like that. After graduating from ASU, I went to work for Tempe Union School District in Marcos de Niza. A failed election, and something that no new teacher understands or has ever heard the term, I was RIFed, which means reduction in force. So I was out of a job. And I applied at South Mountain High School, and I applied in the Chandler Unified School District. And I was fortunate, my first contact and first great friend in this school, in this town, Dale Hancock, hired me. Now, I don't know if he hired me for teaching and coaching or because I had a 72 Corvette Stingray. Because every time Dale had to go to the district office, which was on Galveston back then, or he had to run an errand, he'd always come to my classroom to borrow my car keys. 2 years later, Mesa Community College hired me to be their head track coach and head cross-country coach. I was 24 years old at the time, and the district athletic director, Al Howe, must have thought, well, if MCC is going to hire a 24-year-old, then maybe we should look at this youngster too. So he had Howard Conley and Bob Kakamo call me up to the high school. I had no clue what they wanted, but it was a full-blown interview. Classroom management, lesson objectives, and stuff like that. And I really felt, wow, I just had blown this, because there's no way I'd even hire myself. But Bob Kakamo said, hey, you did fine. Don't worry, you'll be okay. This has led to a wonderful 31 years of working with the best staff at a high school. Working within the social studies, the business and driver's ed department, I had a good fortune of working and to befriending many, many fine teachers. John Carlson, Bob Schwartz, Dick Jamison, Alan Isles, Jimmy Myers, Chuck McGoldrick, and so many others who have put their time, their 30-plus years into this town and this school district. I know I'm known for running the Chandler Rotary Track Meet, which has been called one of the top 5 high school track meets in the nation by a national publication. But I'm also thankful, and I'm thankful for Al Howell, who allowed me to take that track meet of 12 schools and do with it what I felt needed to be done, to where it's now 175 high schools and 4,500 athletes come to that meet. And Joel, thank you for continuing to allow me to run that meet at that point in time. But I'm also proud of working with Mike Desper and Frank Fletcher and bringing the Nike Tournament champions from Chicago to Chandler. And it's been here for 23 years ever since. I was able to create the Chandler City Sports Hall of Fame, working with a lot of former coaches and administrators from the Chandler schools from the 50s and the 60s. Chuck Jardee, Charlie Hall, and people like that. I'm also very proud of all the amazing coaches and teachers at Chandler High School through the years, and the love that they have for kids and students, not only their athletes, but also all the students that go to that school. In conclusion, every year, Matt Lincoln and I work with Matt with cross country. The youngster is really good, best coach I've ever worked with. Every year we give a scholarship to one of our top runners in honor and memory of one of our former coaches, Don Miner. And Matt never had the no, I introduced you to him once, didn't I? When he's still alive, maybe? Anyway, so every year he allows me to give that scholarship. And I started it with, I'm old enough to know every school, every facility, and every building and who it's named for. And now I will also have that honor, and I thank you all. Thank you.
Dave, congratulations. And thank you, Chandler staff, Jim, for the nomination as well, and for the resolution. And we will have a celebration out there where your family will be able to, the girls will be in town then and all that, and which will be great later in March, closer to that Rotary meet, possibly, to have it out there and have some celebration with you as we unveil the Wolf Den into the Dave Shapiro extravaganza. We are built on history. And Chandler is strong because all strong foundations have great buildings built on them. We are benefiting those great buildings because of the strong foundation, and thank you for being a part of that. We appreciate you, and we look forward to celebrating with your family and friends at Chandler High in March when we actually do the unveiling. So,
Frank,
congratulations.
Do you mind if I ask Dave a question? Yeah. So, Dave, hello. Yes. Do you still, on Fridays, do the meet, the kids hardly ever get to run in, but they get to run on Fridays? Do you still do that?
Yes.
I remember when I was at Rotary, these kids had tears in their eyes because they would get medals they've never got before. And that's what I loved about the Friday event, so that was awesome.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dave. Okay, our next item to do is a student body president report from Chandler High School by Ms. Escobar.
Good evening, Mr. Narducci, board members, and those here in attendance. My name is Camille Escobar, and I'm incredibly honored to be Chandler High School Student Body President. Thank you for having me here today to speak on the events and activities that have happened at Chandler during the first semester. Before I get started, I would like to speak on behalf of CHS and thank you all for everything you have done and will continue to do for our community. Without further ado, this is what CHS has been up to. We kicked off the school year starting with a special event for our seniors, our senior sunrise. This was our second year holding this event, and we had an incredible turnout with about 300 seniors attending. All of our seniors arrived at our football field at 5:30 in the morning with blankets and breakfast to sit and enjoy the sunrise with their friends and fellow classmates. This event allowed the senior class to come together and celebrate the journey of our last year in high school. We're looking forward to hosting our senior sunset at the end of the year.
Camille, can I interrupt you just real quick? Were there slides that you were going to move with that?
Sorry.
If you need help, there you go. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
As well, in the first quarter, we had our first assembly of the year, our fall sports assembly. This was our first assembly back in the gym since COVID, so it was an incredibly exciting time for all of our students and staff. This assembly was truly memorable with a focus on our fall sports, badminton, cross country, swim and dive, golf, volleyball, football, unified flag football and cheer, and freshman tennis. Alongside our fall sports, we had special performances from our dance team, cheer, and band. Student Council even introduced many fun games to include both students and staff. Student Council cannot wait for the next assembly that we have planned, and I look forward to speaking about it in my next board meeting. It's no doubt that our athletics here at Chandler are one of our biggest prides. Badminton had a great season with a lot of team and individual growth and success. On behalf of the team, we would like to thank you for the new badminton pole system, along with the new paint gym floor. With the equipment update, CHS is able to build a quality program and keep up with our sister schools. Girls golf had 2 student athletes qualify for the state tournament, Tatum Tollefson and Carly Palmer, our 2 young ladies who had a tremendous senior season. Girls soccer has had an incredible start to their season with runners-up in the Bodie Larson Classic tournament over winter break. They've also had a 9-4-2 record with most wins already in 5 years. So far, they are undefeated at home, and we wish our girls soccer a successful season. Girls volleyball had a strong season that took them to the playoffs for the first time in several years. These girls are extremely dedicated, and we know they will continue to have many accomplishments. Our football team fought hard this year with a 9-3 season. Our football team played well, and we know that they will only come back stronger next season. While speaking of football, it's important to mention homecoming. At our homecoming game against Red Mountain, we revealed our homecoming royalty, which was voted on by the student body. Our homecoming theme was inspired by Halloween as it took place in the month of October, bringing The Nightmare Before Homecoming to life. In preparation for homecoming, our student council woke up bright and early the week leading up to our dance to decorate the hallways. With themed hallways, the student body was getting in the Halloween spirit. Along with hallway decorating, student council and many other clubs stayed after school to work on floats for our homecoming parade that took place on Oakland Street. Students, staff, and even neighboring families were all excited to see the creativity our students had. The next morning, we woke up bright and early once again to set up for the homecoming dance, which happened to be the most attended in recent years. Spirit Weeks are both students' and staff's favorite way to show school spirit. Within the first and second quarter, we had 3 Spirit Weeks: homecoming, fall sports, and our winter week. All of these Spirit Weeks had so many of our students participating. With a range of different days created by our Spirit Commissioners, we are able to bring school spirit and get students excited for what is to come throughout the year. One of the fun events that we have put on this year was our Fright Night, which was done in partnership with our theater department. This event consisted of a fear factory where our student actors were set up in numerous themed rooms to scare the guests. This is an event that we've had for a few years now, and it's one of our favorites to set up and run. Going on at the same time, we had our ghost tours where guests could learn about the haunting history of Chandler High. Our Fright Night was one to remember, and student council cannot wait for next year. This year, we also continued our partnership with Hamilton High School to raise money for the organization Make-A-Wish. The week leading up to the Battle of Arizona Avenue, Student Council was visiting classrooms and informing students about the incredible cause we were raising money for. We sold rivalry shirts that were made in partnership with Hamilton. In the end, CHS raised $5,413, and in total, we raised $10,894. This friendly competition allowed for one wish to be granted to a child in need. This is a tradition that we are prideful to continue with and one that we will continue with for years to come. Our band had an incredible season this year as they attended many fun competitions, one of them being at NAU. They experienced a lot of growth this year after the big hit they took from COVID, and they expect continued growth moving forward. Choir had a busy semester with 2 well-attended concerts and many performances for the holiday season. They were invited to the state capitol to sing for the governor at the tree lighting ceremony, as well as sing for junior high schools and the Rotary Club. Choir was even able to bring over 50 adults together for a community choir. This semester has brought them many accomplishments, with even some of their members making the top choirs in the whole state. This is truly just the beginning for them, and we are excited for what is to come in second semester. Snow Day with the daycare kids is one of Student Council's favorite activities to do, as it brings us closer to the small community we have within our school. We hired a snow company to come to Chandler. They brought a slide, and we provided the sleds. Our Stuco had a blast sledding and playing in the snow with the kids. Our culinary classes spent the day prior baking and making frosting so that we can decorate cookies with them. We even had a surprise visit from Elsa to make the day even more special for our daycare friends. This is definitely a Stuco tradition that we look forward to every year. As I reach the end of my presentation, I would like to express that none of the events and topics that I talked about today would be possible without Mr. Franklin and our admin team, as they continuously support us with everything that we do. At this time, I would like to introduce you to the 2022-23 Student Council that have worked incredibly hard this first semester. I'll start off with our student body members. Student body vice president, Maddie Van Hoff. Student body secretary, Allison Alfredo. Student body spirit commissioner, Allison Slater. Student body business manager, Amelia Brandt. Student body community outreach, Aaliyah Smith. Moving on to our senior class, we have our senior class president, Xavier Sandoval. Senior class vice president, Elliot Burns. Senior class treasurer, Aaliyah Casas. And for our junior class, we have our junior class president, Lexi Moreno. Junior class vice president, Emily Dominguez. Junior class secretary, Kiara Pontarelli. Junior class treasurer, Rayanne El Hadri. And for our sophomore class, we have our sophomore class president, Kendall McCollum. Sophomore class spirit commissioner, Kara Parker. Sophomore class secretary, Zadie Rudnick. Sophomore class publicity manager, Nadia Kelly. Sophomore class representative, Nathan Nevarez. Lastly, our freshman class, we have our freshman class president, Zaire Harden. Freshman class vice president, Mars Hafey. Freshman class spirit commissioner, Zoe Medal. Freshman class secretary, Lily Cash. Freshman class treasurer, Audie Yazzie. Freshman class publicity manager, Corey Smith. Unfortunately, we had some students who could not make it tonight, but I would still like to introduce them. Our student body publicity manager is Katie Stone. Sophomore class vice president is Savannah Wetch. Sophomore class treasurer is Addie Martinez. And our freshman class representative is Karis Hurd. I would also like to introduce you to our amazing advisors, Mr. Michael Gray and Mrs. Amanda Osterman. They have supported us through every event that we plan and execute. They are truly the foundation for our council. Once again, I would like to thank you all for everything you do for CHS and our community. As a token for our appreciation, we wanted to provide you with some CHS shirts. We know that you'll wear them with pride just as much as we do. This is our 2022-23 Student Council. Thank you for having us, and have a good night.
Okay. Awesome. So our next item of business is our public hearing about pay for performance. Dr. Gilbert is going to take us through that.
Mr. President and members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to share the 2022-2023 CUSD 301 Pay for Performance Plan. The update to this plan this year is anticipated payment to teachers of $700 to be paid out for the 22-23 school year. As you can see, this is a decrease from previous, which was $3,200 to $700, and that was because of the change of legislation where they combined the pots of money. There used to be 3 pots, now it's down to 1, which allowed for more money to be put into the salary. So the majority of the money that we've had in the past has been moved into the salaries, and now for this year, it's a $700 total. There's no professional development that is included in this plan. And CUSD's pay for performance plan, which has 2 components, is based on the following. 50% is contingent upon the completion of the site multi-tiered system of support plan, and 50% is based on the teacher performance classification. Highly effective and effective teachers will receive 100%. Developing teachers in their first 2 years would receive 75%. Developing teachers in 3 years and above would be 50%, and ineffective would be 0. When we look at the first 50% being $350 for the site MTSS plan, we look at with the focus and addressing gaps in learning. This year's focus was to improve our MTSS process to ensure we have the strong leaders at each school leading the process and working with teachers to ensure that the structures of interventions are in place to assist students. Within this plan, as you'll see the first bullet, the complete MTSS action plan. So we look at what is the requirement for this first half of it. The measures for this is all of these have to be completed. So when we look at the complete MTSS action plan document, it has to be turned in by the site principal to their supervisor. So for the high schools, it's the executive directors that are over secondary and junior high. And for elementary, it's the 2 executive directors that are over the elementary. And that's where they would turn their plans in. These plans consist of a needs assessment that every school needed to do. There was a series of questions that they needed to go through as a team to determine where their plan was. And then they had to take this information, and they had 6-point questions to focus on as to how they were going to make adjustments and address their plan based on that information. The site has to develop a stakeholder team. That team consisted of teachers, counselors, administrators, so that they can look at their plans throughout the year. With that being said, the plan also had areas of focus and I'll just name a few. There were 6 main areas of focus with some different perspectives underneath it. So there are areas of focus in this plan focused on behavior interventions such as social emotional supports, differentiated instruction, small group instruction and scaffolding supports. Also looking at the professional learning communities, our PLCs, where they really looked at 4 questions. What do students need to know? How will we know if they've learned it? What do we do if they didn't learn it? And then what extensions do we provide when we have students that have mastered the content? Ongoing assessments was also a focus in that area, which is building common formative assessments to guide instruction, as well as progress monitoring. Some data dives, focusing on what are they doing with data, student success indicators, along with targeted interventions, as well as high yield instructional strategies, which are evidence-based practices. So when we look at that plan, These are the components of that plan that they needed to focus on with their team. They need to designate site representatives. All attended the professional development that we had in September so that we can make sure we had a baseline of information as to what the team was going to be doing. Each site would hold a minimum of 2 stakeholder meetings per quarter, beginning in the second quarter as we put this plan in place, so that they were looking at what is their data telling them about their school, what changes need to be made, and these are interventions that are happening on a day-to-day basis, but then they have to look at if students are struggling still with these interventions put in place, what is that next level that needs to be implemented. And then finally, data collection, where site administration will submit the number of MTSS student plans that the site team received, and that information goes to their supervisor at the district level. So this is for the first 50% on what needs to be accomplished when it comes to the MTSS plan. Then we look at the second 50%, which is the performance classifications. The classifications are determined by a compilation of data collected from the following areas. You have your instructional practice evaluation, which is weighted by elements in part of the evaluation. Deliberate practice, which is the growth plan that all of our teachers put in place. Student achievement, which is focused on growth and proficiency, utilizing the 2021-22 student data, and then professional responsibilities. So when we look at that from a visual perspective, you see that you have your performance classification. So your instructional practice, which is the weighted elements, is 55% of that. Deliberate practices is 6%. Student achievement is 33%. And professional responsibilities is 6%. This portion of the plan was developed previously by our Human Resource Department and is in line with legislation. So we look at just a note of some of the changes of the plan, and I shared with you some of the perspectives of why the change in the amount of funds. The focus of this site plan has moved away from specifics of the district measures to the refinement and implementation of the site multi-tiered systems of support. We think the change and this emphasis will allow for more targeted student supports to enhance student academic success, focus on interventions. Now, I think it's important to also note that we are still looking at the district strategic plan. If over the years, that has been our focus, is the district strategic plan and how we scored in that area. We believe that this is going to enhance what we're still doing and still being monitored on, and measures that the board is still has in place as to what we're doing as our strategic plan. We think, especially with what we've seen in gaps in learning and the struggles that students have had, that putting this in place to really focus on how we can assist our students is going to help them from an academic perspective. So again, when we look at the 2022-23 pay for performance plan, the requirements for the PFP stipend will be awarded in 2 parts. Again, as I said, first 50%, which is $350 for meeting the site MTSS plan requirements, and the second 50% for the teacher performance classification, which the teacher performance classification piece is no change from the previous year. So as required by ARS 15977 Section C, the approval of the performance-based compensation system based on an affirmative vote of at least 70% of the teachers eligible to participate in the performance-based compensation system. With that being said, the staff agreement form, PowerPoint presentation of the proposed plan, as well as the pay for performance question and answer document, was distributed in October to be reviewed and voted on by the staff. The staff agreements were returned to their administrator on their campus by October 31st. And with that, there was a 99% approval of this plan by our staff. With that being said, give me one moment. ARS 15977 requires that a school district governing board must adopt a performance-based compensation system in order to allow funding from the classroom site fund. The 2022-2023 Proposition 301 Pay for Performance Plan has been approved by the District Super Prop Committee, and the Super Prop Committee is members are teachers from all three levels. We have teachers from elementary, junior high, high school, as well as administration from the building and administration from the district that reviews this plan, helps develop that plan, and that's the plan that goes out to the staff. Anticipated payment of $700 per staff member to be paid in 2022-2023. No professional development is required. The CSD pay for performance plan has two components based on the following. 50%, which is $350, is contingent upon completion of the site MTSS systems of support plan, and 50%, which is another $350, is based on teacher performance classification. Approval of this performance-based compensation system will be requested during the February 8th, 2023 board meeting. With that, any questions?
Barb?
So on the plan, the first part, the MTSS, is more of a site activity and site type thing, while the teacher performance classification is an individual teacher performance review, basically.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Well, I guess I don't understand. Can I ask? So I guess I've gotten really dated on this. So the lion's share of the money goes to the teacher salary schedule, is that correct?
Yeah, and through the meet and confer Super Q process, that money was determined by the Super Q, which is our bargaining group with teachers, administration. That was determined that money would be moved. The majority of it was moved to the salary.
So how did that qualify for the performance-based?
With the new legislation, and they went from having 3 pots to it being combined to 1, and what we thought was going to happen was they were going to move it to 1 pot, and they were going to move away from a performance-based piece of it. They still moved all 3 pots together, and now you can move it into classroom fund, you can move it into salary, you have that opportunity, but they continued with having the performance piece, and this is the performance piece of it. The other monies was able to be moved because of the new legislation.
Approximately how much were the other monies per teacher? Do you recall?
I think it was 2,800?
Are you talking about the performance pay? 2,500. So we moved 2,500 into the salary schedule. Yes.
So there wasn't really a paid per performance for that 2,500?
No.
No, okay, so that was just able to be distributed to teachers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are they, when this change happens, is everybody going to know why the change happened and where the money went to, so that they don't think they're getting shortchanged because of?
Yes, because this was part of the Super Q and the bargaining, that was already communicated out to all the staff because it was addressed and decided on within that form.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I had a question for you. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. On the pay for performance, it looks like there's 5 levels: highly effective, effective, developing up to 2 years, developing 3 years and plus, and ineffective. What's the breakout between those 5 classifications?
Breakout from?
What percentage were highly effective, effective, developing?
I think, Mr. Roars, you're talking about the teacher evaluation part of this. We don't have that data yet. We'll have that at the end of the school year when this closes out. I could go back and get that information to the board related to last year's scores.
That would be good. Thank you.
No percentage, but I would say most fell in the middle to upper area.
Thank you.
Was the question you were asking, like, what the difference between the amount of monies they're getting?
Know what the breakout was in the classification of performance of the teaching core that we have.
Okay. Okay. All right. If nobody else has any other questions, we may entertain a motion.
No, this is for February 8th, I believe.
For February 8th?
Yes.
Okay. We don't have to do a motion right now. We can go on to our next thing. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. All right. Our next item of business is our citizen comments. This is the time for the public to comment. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431, 1.01H. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to review the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. And before we get going with this, I do have an announcement. Because we've been talking about mental health or listening about mental health for a long time, instead of just having folks come and talk to us and then we can't really have a back and forth conversation, barring any unforeseen conditions or unforeseen events, next meeting we'd like to have a study session about mental health so that we can actually have a back and forth with folks about that and have staff be able to speak about it as well. So that being said, I will not talk until these folks are done talking to us. We have 3 minutes apiece. First person is Rihanna Alexander.
Hi, my name is Rihanna Alexander. I'm a senior at Chandler High School, and I'm the founder of the nonprofit Arizona Students for Mental Health. I want to recognize the new board members, Patty Serrano and Kurt Roars. Congratulations on your election to the board, and I'm excited to see the changes new leadership will bring to our district. Arizona Students for Mental Health, Valley Interfaith Project, and Arizona Peer and Family Coalition are joining to ask the district for collaboration in helping our students and their well-being. We applaud what the district is already doing to take action on mental health, in particular the Hope Institute. However, we know that mental health is not an issue that the district can tackle on their own. We are asking for a community advisory board made up of students and community members to work with the district and board to implement critical resources to students suffering with depression, anxiety, ADHD, and other mental illnesses. A community advisory board will provide us with the venue to collaborate and strengthen our student support services while identifying the current needs of our students, such as lack of knowledge and understanding of 504 plans. A board like this is a youth engagement strategy that has local impact. We ask that this board has direct contact with the CUSD board and leadership. It is our hope that we can meet within the next few weeks to develop this board. Lastly, we are glad to hear that a study session is focused on mental health is being planned, allowing the board to dive into these issues. We look forward to being a part of that. Thank you for your work to protect the mental health of students, and we look forward to working with each of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Sarah. I'm sorry, I can't read your handwriting.
It's
Sarah.
Oglesby Dunnigan. Sorry, my mother would be all over that.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Reverend Sarah Oglesby Dunnigan, and I serve Valley Unitarian Universalist congregation here in Chandler. And we are members of the organization of Valley Interfaith Project. I'm also a mother of two, a 21-year-old and a 13-year-old, and my spouse is a middle school teacher. We are here in support of these students' request for an advisory board on student mental health needs because we understand that our youth are experiencing an incredible increase in mental health challenges, one that many practitioners consider a true crisis. As leaders in faith communities, we know personally about this crisis through the experiences of our members and their families. And while the experiences of the pandemic have increased the pressures of our students and their families, this crisis was already well underway. Schools, like congregations, may not currently be well equipped to address the mental health needs that are unfolding, but we must act to develop our capacity and to respond differently. We can't afford not to. This crisis impacts each of us too. As a mom, I have faced this crisis in my own household, and I can tell you that while we benefited from the access to mental health practitioners and hospitals, which not all families have equal access to, we also needed and continue to need schools that have the capacity to be partners in healing and restoration. Our collective future depends on this shared mission and its success. Valley Interfaith Project looks forward to working with the board and students to implement an advisory board to collaborate on this goal, and we thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you. That concludes our public comments for this evening. Our next order of business is consent agenda. Mr. Narducci, could you present that for us?
Thank you, President Olive. And For those that want to stay for the consent agenda, you're more than welcome. It's very exciting. But if you don't want to, I can understand that. So I'll give you a second here if you want to. As our guests leave, out-of-state student travel pre-planning, an out-of-state field trip pre-planning form for Bogle Junior High School, and Castile High School were provided. Staff will look at arrangements and provide pre-approval. The governing board will receive a summary of the final travel arrangements quarterly. Under 802, monetary gifts, we request approval of the monetary gifts generously donated to Chandler schools totaling $206,262.66. Under donations, 8.03, we request the approval of the items donated to Chandler Unified School District totaling $34,726.52. 8.04 is a MOU between CUSD and the Jewish Family and Children's Services. The Memorandum of Understanding between Chandler Unified School District and Jewish Family and Children's Service to help ensure prevention and intervention supports for students and their families experiencing physical, mental, social, emotional, and behavioral health problems preventing them from achieving academic success is presented for approval. CUSD will provide referrals to students to the nonprofit partner. Referrals of students shall be made after consultation with the student's parent or legal guardian. 8.05, an MOU between Chandler Unified School District and Resilient Health. The Memorandum of Understanding between Chandler Unified School District and Resilient Health to provide behavioral health services to students enrolled at Chandler Unified School District schools is presented for approval. The CSD will provide referrals of students to Resilient Health. Referrals of students shall be made after consultation again with the student's parent or legal guardian. And I think our comments before would have been well served by these two agenda items as well. Under 8.06, 1 GPA contract, floor covering products and services. The 1 GPA issued new solicitation for floor covering products and services that combined two existing IGPAs or 1 GPAs contract. Those contracts were the following. Hardwood gymnasium floor products and services, 1 GPA contract number 18-07PV-04, which expired on 12/6/2022, and that was awarded to Sun Country Floors. The other one is flooring products and services, 1 GPA contract 18-19PV-02, awarded to Diversified Flooring, and 1 GPA contract 18-19PV-04 awarded to Wholesale Floors. The district is requesting governing board approval to utilize the new 1 GPA contract for floor covering products and services for awarded vendors of Diversified Flooring, Sun Country Floors, and Wholesale Floors as detailed below, including the previously approved estimated expenditures. The new contracts will be valid until 12/6/2027. That's Diversified Flooring for $2 million, Sun Country Flooring for $500,000, and Wholesale Floors for $1,500,000. 8.07, resolution limiting the annual use of restricted reserve. The district administration is requesting board approval of the resolution limiting the annual use of unrestricted reserve. We recommend approval. And the last consent agenda item is 8.08, Human Resources, Employment, Separation, and Compensation. That's in your packet. That's all.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Narducci. Could I get a motion?
I had a couple questions, if you could.
I think we need to do a motion, and then we'll have discussion, right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Just typically, with consent agenda, you should direct your questions to administration prior to the meeting because it is a consent agenda. But since you guys probably didn't know about that, once the motion is made, we will entertain the questions, I'm sure.
yep. So let's go ahead and do a motion if we could.
I motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Okay, could I get a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the table, and so what was your question?
Same question for both the MOUs, in that there is no financial commitment from the district. So this will be paid for either through access or the individual's private insurance, employee supplied insurance. Is that correct? And it's really just a referral.
I can respond to that. They're referrals, and because we have Jake's Law, which allows monies to be utilized for students that are that have the need, in order for them to be eligible to receive monies from the state through Jake's Law, we have to have an MOU with them so that we can refer to them. So yes, you're correct. It's more of we're referring, and they need to be approved through us so that we can utilize that money, or they can utilize that money.
Okay, thank you.
The same way on both of them?
No
Yes, on
financial
both.
obligation by the district. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert.
Okay.
The second part was the resolution limiting the annual use of the unrestricted reserve. Why is this not a policy? Resolution really doesn't have much weight. It's really just a guideline or selection. There's really no minimum set or a way to get there, no maximum set or how to disposition excess funds. And we did see from the Auditor General report that just came out today, they do give some, I guess, guidance on how to calculate reserves, and we can use that calculation. So I think we could do a lot more with this instead of just a resolution, turn it into a policy. So I think I'd like to actually pull this off and work on a policy that's far more substantial than just a resolution.
Can we divide a consent agenda once it's already been?
It should be pulled prior, but what we could do is work on having the resolution here, and if you want us to look at a policy as a board, as a total board, then we could do that. Right now, we're looking at those reserves were built over many years, and they just don't come back. They won't. It would be hard to generate those over the next 30 years of what was generated over the last 40. So we wanted to have some resolution that gave the board power of at least thought right now that they would have to approve anything over the 10%, so that money wasn't squandered on certain things that might be needed down the road that we can't even imagine at this point, and not leave future responsibility stranded when. However, this is our first step at it. So we could, according to your point, Mr. Rohrs, we could approve the resolution now as it is on the consent agenda and come back and look at whether it's worth of policy, and then look at that policy review of what it would look like if that's what the board would like us to do, for sure.
Yeah, we could undo next week what we do this week, I guess, right?
You can undo. We could do that, yeah, of course. You can add more. You can change it any time as long as you have a 3-2 vote. So however you would like to do that, we're at your, we'll get that done. Right now, the resolution's in front of you, and you would have to work with that. And then if it's the board's interest in creating policy, we would like to do some work in looking at what that policy can look like and what that outcome would be for that policy.
Yeah, the advancement here was that the Auditor General is actually looking at this and calculating it itself, so there's some real guidance behind it. We wouldn't be on our own. Something they're paying attention to, so.
Well, there actually is not any policies yet out there for school districts on this piece. We did talk to our attorneys on it because originally it was started a few years ago. Do we want to change that to a policy? And then our attorney, Kristen Mackin, helped us create the resolution just currently. This helps us so that ultimately we have some guidelines. The board approves it now. You have to come back and vote against it to change that. But a policy, once we act on it, it takes us a little while to change that policy. So, for example, when COVID happened, we spent about $18 million of our reserves before we ever started to get reimbursed or know that there was additional federal dollars coming in. And so there are times when you need to access dollars. And so this resolution is a little bit easier to access as a board, and if we have a pandemic or we have something that happens, then you can access those funds and utilize them. But we're definitely capable of creating a policy. This was the first step. There wasn't any policies yet that have been created specifically on unreserved fund balances for the 225 school districts that are out there, but we can definitely create something. It's our policy. It's something for us that we can create, but this is a step in the right direction of a resolution to help. But again, you can add on to this. This is just the first step. You can have a resolution and a policy if you want to add the policy. It's something that we can also do if that helps.
So as one step, Mr. Rohrs, Ms. Serrano also contacted me earlier and asked about that and what those reserves look like if if they were needed, and concerned about the 10%. And because if we have a crisis or a big crisis, we may need more access to 10%. So you would be able to, as a board, go back, even with the resolution there, to be able to vote additional funding if required and needed. But we want to have some guidance there so that we just didn't squander the spending that took 30 years to establish. It just,
No,
there was
clearly
four.
it's a responsible thing to
Yeah,
do. I'm not
yeah.
arguing that.
And
But
I know
it
that's
also
what you're asking.
expires in 4 years. Why would we do that?
We just started to set a limit. This is the first time we've created a resolution, so we created it with some parameters, and we thought we'd bring that back in 4 years to see if it's a need, and then we can continue. We might not need it at all. We might need to expand it. We might need to elaborate on it. Just gives you a good starting point, and then we can go from there.
And the other reason the 4-year, Mr. Roars, is not to bind future board members that come on board with things that were determined 4 years prior. So that's probably why the 4 years is on there as well.
Well, I thought that was the whole point.
Yeah.
But, okay, I would agree to the resolution if we also have a commitment to start working on a more substantial policy. Thank you.
All right, does anybody else have any comments or questions?
The only thing that Frankie said made me nervous is to go beyond that 10%. If a board was irresponsible enough to do that, it could cause great damage to the district. Not this board, but a future board. So I'm a little concerned about that thought. The whole idea is to not exceed that 10%.
If the board came back, it would be in the board's discretion. And so hopefully there'd be lots of conversation and financial responsibility in looking at that. And that's why it's important for those stories to be heard when you're making those decisions. But I don't think we can bind anybody's decisions over the next 20 years. But I'm thinking everybody on this table's responsible, and I know you are fiscally responsible, and it's just our duty to do due diligence to make sure those monies are spent wisely. And I get it, Mr. Worth. You're a part of the growth of that fund, and again, we're a no-growth district. This is funds that came in when we were sudden growth and big growth and district, and we want to respect the fact that those funds will not be generated in the term that they were even generated before. So it would be up to the board's decision to do that, but any decision can come back to a board for approval or disapproval.
But Mr. Narducci, the complication of this contingency, and it is complicated for us.
Mm-hmm.
The danger is if you put it into ongoing expenses, it becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, you got that much money, you're going to want to do some of it in ongoing. So it gets to be really challenging whether how much you put into ongoing, how much you put into one time, how much you spend in a year. It's very complex. Thank God we have the problem, though.
All right. If nobody else has any other questions, you guys ready to vote? So we've had a motion and a second. So all those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
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 All right, the motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have information items. Ms. Berry.
All right, Mr. President, sorry, I had to fix that, darn. All right. Mr. President, members of the board. Student activities, auxiliary operations, and tax credit reports for the months ending July of 2022 through December of 2022 are provided for your review.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Marshall, you have private day tuition?
Yes, good evening.
Oh.
Hold on, let me see here. The private day expenditures, why isn't it popping up? Private days expenditures for Q2 is attached and recommended for approval and for your review.
All right, thank you. Yes.
I do have one question on the private day expenditures. Dr. Marshall?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I noticed, and right now my
Yeah, mine's
seem to
being
act-
fuzzy too.
We're having some
I'm going to
problems
look
with
at Dr. Edgar's.
Yeah, but I noticed that first quarter, the sum wasn't very much, and then second quarter, it significantly went up, and it does appear as though enough has been allocated for private day. But why do we see such a discrepancy? Do some only bill per semester and others only per quarter, or how does?
It all depends on when the students are enrolled during the quarter, and most of the invoices that come to us are 30 days behind. So we're always kind of paying catch up. So you'll see fourth quarter will be significantly, it will be high as well because we're always playing catch up. So when we have kids start, most of our private day school students start at the beginning of August. And so we don't start receiving those bills until almost at the end of first quarter. And so then everybody starts to play catch up once school gets rolling and the invoices come in.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you. That brings us to our next thing, which is our roadmap, I believe. Yes, our CUSD board roadmap. Our next meeting is February 8th. That's going to be a presentation by Wendy on world-class employees. Hopefully, we also have a study session on the mental health and suicide prevention. The board meetings will have CTE recognition, and Black History Month is going to be one of the subjects.
President Olive, just a couple of changes on there. We'll get them made for you here. We are going to have the meet and confer on February 8th, and then we are going to substitute the mental health study session for the evaluation. For the evaluation instruments.
Okay.
And that other. The other presentation that Dr. Nance is going to do, we're still working with the consultant that's working on that information, so we don't have it this time. So that's being rescheduled for a later date.
Okay, thank you.
Compensation comparisons.
Okay, wonderful.
Sorry for that, I know, and we'll get that updated on the roadmap.
All right, thank you. Next comes our superintendent comments.
Can I go back to the roadmap?
Roadmap, yes.
So I guess I'm getting a little frustrated over time. By the way, I agree with the changes, by the way. But I think the board somehow, at least maybe through our president, should have a little more say on what's actually on the agenda roadmap. So I guess I as a board, I'd like the ability to mention it to our president, and he can work with you guys for the board agenda. It seems like we haven't had a whole lot of input. It just shows up. So.
Thank you, Ms. Worthy. As a matter of fact, Mr. Olive did actually change the roadmap to include the mental health piece because Mrs. Mosden and Mr. Olive met with our VIP group and individually, and I'm actually meeting with that group tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I believe. But we can take note of that and add more input of what will be on the roadmap, and we have to remember too the time constraint there too of how much we can put on a given day. But we definitely can look at more opportunity there through Mr. Olive.
Right, and the time before the meeting, sometimes that gets impacted by the emergencies that come up, like the behavior appeals and things like that, right?
Right, when we have to fit those into, then we move things around as needed, but yeah.
All right, any other questions on the roadmap? All right, next is Frank's comments.
Sure. Thank you, President, and all members of the board. In honor of Governing Board Appreciation Month, you see signs and posters around the room celebrating you as a valued part of Team Chandler Unified. On behalf of our schools, departments, and cabinet, we thank you for your dedication and your service to our district. Collectively, our staff put together goodie bags to show our appreciation. I know you don't have those in front of you because they would have blocked you, but I think they're by your sides. And just understand those were filled by an eclectic group across the whole district. So really want you to know that as a voluntary job, because I don't think any of you have accepted payment to be on this dais. Others of us have, but you haven't, and we appreciate you doing that and becoming a Team Chandler to make Team Chandler even stronger. While we're giving thanks, I would also like to thank Vice President Mosden for her service as Governing Board President for the past 4 years in navigating critical challenges and helping maintain the excellence that Chandler provides their students and the community. In appreciation, we know there's lots of time, Barb, you have spent away from Tom and with us, so we'd like to provide for you a wonderful evening out. Free of anything Chandler Unified, no talk about Chandler Unified, and to be able to celebrate with you and your husband. And this is from all of the board here, thanking you for 4 years of leading the charge with the gavel as president.
Thank you very much.
Again, Barb, thank you very much for your guidance. Now, here's some of the great things that are happening in place since we returned from winter break, 'cause I know we didn't get to update at the last meeting with our inductions of our 2 new board members. Last week, a national team from the company of Z-Space visited CTA Independence. Z-Space is technology that allows students to explore and learn through a hands-on application where they can manipulate their learning while working through real-world simulations via virtual and augmented reality. During the regional visitation meeting, which I attended, they awarded CUSD as their district of distinction. They held the regional meeting there. CTA Independence as their school of distinction, and Independence teacher Dr. Deb Posniak, their teacher of distinction for our commitment to STEM education. And she actually walked 32 members through a lesson that she would do with students in that STEM lab. CUSD was one of the first districts to use the Z-Space technology back in 2016, and we have it in 6 of our schools. Speaking of technology, our Chief Technology Officer, Ms. Colleen Flannery, is up for a prestigious award. Colleen is the finalist for the 2023 Arizona OBIE Awards. The OBIE Award honors Chief Information Officers, Technology Officers, and those in equivalent roles who have demonstrated excellence in technology leadership. Winners will be announced in April. We can't wait. Please join me in congratulating Ms. Flannery. Congratulations. CUSD educator John Prothro and CUSD student Canix Gallo were recognized and honored with awards at the City of Chandler's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Awards reception. Chandler High senior Sandrea Norma, Miss Juneteenth, was also in attendance and was the MC for the event, did an amazing job, which was held this last Friday evening. You can see some pictures of the group. So we congratulate all of our staff and students for doing an exceptional job. In addition, the Anderson Junior High School students, Aaliyah Mayfield and Alexandra Camacho, were winners of the 2023 Arizona State University Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Essay Contest. The contest was entitled Every Story Matters, What's Yours? They will be honored during a ceremony at Arizona State University tomorrow. As you know from our last planning session, a few of our schools where we have an opportunity to grow enrollments are going through what we are calling the reimagining process. The purpose of this process is to seek stakeholder input on the future of our schools to not only meet the needs of our community, but to provide exemplary opportunities for our students. This might include, but is not limited to, a shift in programming and experiences or a shift in how campus space is utilized. This process includes collaborative work with school staff, students, and community members and takes place over several meetings at each school. Here are a few photos from Conley, their reimagining meeting, Fry, and Shumway, where architectural design firm Orcutt Winslow is guiding us through this design systems thinking process. Many of our students are actually doing this design systems thinking process. It brings rigor into hands-on application, and it's a thought process that makes kids think further than just the answer, but it goes into a very a genius way of them experiencing their learning. They have done this, the Orcutt Winslow has done this process with several other Valley schools and districts and have had amazing outcomes because the buildings that further meet the instructional needs of students and are designed to bring out the best in the curriculum instruction pieces. They even did a scaled down version of this process with a group of 50 students that I meet with in the advisory, my superintendent advisory meeting that Ms. Ingersoll actually worked with. The students were asked to envision and plan out their dream school. This is only the beginning, but we are excited about what is ahead. We truly are focusing on what could be rather than should be, because we feel that with what could be, we get to the innovation and we get to the thinking process, and collectively there's more innovation than just somebody coming in and saying this is the building and this is what's needed. Also, we wanted to thank 2 individuals, Mr. Sleater and Ms. Sangiano, who are executive directors of elementaries, and they've been taking nights going to schools. As a matter of fact, they're not here tonight because they're at schools working with these community, student, and school staff committees. And so I want to thank them also for taking a lot of their evening time actually holding these input meetings. And finally, a reminder that it's enrollment season here in CUSD. On January 23rd, our CTA and dual program campuses, CTA is our Chandler Traditional Academies, and dual program campuses are hosting kindergarten open houses. Our traditional campuses are holding open houses on January 30th. Just head to our website to enroll in any of our amazing schools. I would, again, personally like to thank Heather and Leo for their opportunity to work with Orcutt Winslow and for the time they're taking in the evenings to work directly with these committees. And that's all the updates I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Narducci. That brings us to our board member comments. Kurt, you have all the time you want.
Oh, don't do that.
What time do you guys want to get home tonight? No. Yeah, I don't have to keep it to 3 minutes anymore, do I? I just wanted to read something. And this is Arizona Revised Statute, Title 1601. It talks about parents' rights. And what it says, literally, is that the liberty of parents to direct the upbringing, education, healthcare, and mental health of their children is a fundamental right. So I'd like to offer my personal perspectives on this, not necessarily those of the board. But district policy must be inclusive of parents' rights as a primary concern, not any less relevant than any other concern. However, with these rights for parents come responsibilities. Parents are responsible for the behavior of their children, not necessarily teachers, administrators, and the board. Parents are responsible at all times and everywhere. Now, that being said, parenting is difficult, okay? Most of us up here on the staff and on the board are also parents. We've been there. We know. Some are going through it right now. We're going to have teenagers. Best of luck. But we do have an understanding how difficult these responsibilities are. The district has substantial resources available to assist struggling parents, and I urge parents to take full advantage of that assistance. But we should be working together with parents to make lives better for their children in the community. That's our common task and common goal. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kurt. Mr. Rumley, do you have anything to say?
I hope these are the longest comments I have. But first off, I would be remiss if I didn't issue a public thank you to our CUSD community for entrusting me with your representation on the board. I'm excited to work together to be a good steward for our district. As many know, I am a mom in our district, so prior to tonight's meeting, I was able to attend the beginning of our open house in the state's largest high school that we are home to with Hamilton High. So I want to recognize all of our remarkable educators and staff that stay after hours to make these things happen. I had to leave early to be here, but it was absolutely welcoming and beautiful, and I'm really excited to start my new path as a high school mom this coming year. I do have some congratulations that I want to make sure we give to our CUSD community members, starting with a congratulations to Chandler education advocate and visionary Alberto Esparza, who has started a new exciting project bringing robotics to Mexico. So definitely something to support with iRise Foundation. I want to congratulate CUSD graduate Council Member Angel Encinas, CUSD mom, Council Member Jane Poston, and CUSD grandparent council member Matt Orlando for their installation on our new city council. That was very exciting because they're all affiliates to CUSD. I also want to congratulate our student group outside of the district, Students for Equality AZ schools, that are often here making comments, for their organized direct action on opening day of our state legislature. These brave students continue their critical work advocating for their dignity as youth and students. And of course, we just celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day on Monday. Again, piggybacking on our superintendent's comments, we get to boast on the fact that our Chandler High School student, Canix Gallo, received the City of Chandler's MLK Jr. Award. Canix also participated in the East Valley Mesa Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade. along with the students of Equality AZ schools, and I was happy to run into them as I walked the parade with Feed AZ Students campaign. Looking forward, I'm excited to participate with our local parent group, LEVIT, that's Latinx of the East Valley for Education. They will be hosting their monthly meeting at an ice cream social that's at Frutilandia on Arizona Avenue this coming Tuesday, January 24th from 7 to 8. So I make that invitation to our Hispanic community. And lastly, I'd just like to address the harmful passing of Senate Bill 1001 today and its negative consequences on our students that absolutely include a decline in mental health and emotional health. Our schools are supposed to be safe spaces for all of our students. We need to do better, and as Reverend Ogilvie said tonight, we must act. So I expect us to meet the needed call for forming a collaborative community advisory board the way we've been asked for so long. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Rana. Joel, do you have any comments?
Yes. I guess the MOU related to surplus, maybe think about where we are with that. So I asked Lana if she could research where we are in funding of education, and we're 48th. I actually thought with Ed for Ed, we'd actually made some ground, but we're not. We're still falling behind. As I recall, last school year, they said there was about a 4,000 to 5,000 teacher shortage for certified teachers, which I think is an actual absolute reflection of how poorly we're funded. The other thing that's a concern is the legislature passed a bill to provide $33 million for private school vouchers. That number now is $330 million, which is another reason why public education and charters are poorly funded, some of the worst in the country. And I hope our current governor is willing to try to do something about it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Worth. Ms. Boston?
Thank you, Mr. Olive. I just want to welcome both Patti and Kurt to the board. I really do hope that over the next couple of years that we can really learn to work together as a team and with the focus on really bringing this district forward and making sure that all children can get the most fantastic education that we can possibly give them. I think that we have a lot of very intelligent people around here, and when we all put our creativity and intelligence and our enthusiasm together, that we can do a lot of great things for this district. So I'm hoping that we will all be able to really, kind of gel as a team and get things done for Chandler.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, and definitely welcome. And it's, we're all come from different perspectives and everything, but everybody up here is here because they want to help kids, should be up here because they want to help kids. That should be the beginning and the end of all the conversations, is how do we educate kids. And first time I ever had a conversation when I was running for board first time I ever had a conversation with Dr. Castile, I noticed that everything came back to that. That was the main thing. That was the only thing, was taking care of kids. And actually here recently I've had some interactions with some teachers, and I didn't really realize how grinding the COVID and the results from COVID have been for all the educators. There's no magic bullet for it, and it's made lots of folks behave worse. It's made some kids are having trouble from it. We can only help and do things one person at a time, and that starts with us. And the best thing we could do, just it's free to thank a teacher. It's free to thank a bus driver. It's free to tell a custodian they're doing a good job. So that would be awesome if we just had a little bit more appreciation of all of our teachers, and we appreciated each other a little bit more. So thank all you guys in this room, and thank all of you teachers that, may be on, there's 26 people. I hope some of you are teachers, but thank you. That's the end of my comments. And if anybody doesn't have anything else to do, we're going to be done a half hour earlier than planned today. So thank you, everybody.
Good job.